I was 19 when this happened, living alone for the first time in a small basement apartment on the edge of town. It wasn't a bad place, just old. The kind of old where the walls hold sounds longer than they should, and the hallway lights buzz like they're trying to speak. It was early winter, the kind where darkness comes too soon, when the first phone call came. It was 1:14 a.m. My phone buzzed on the nightstand. Unknown number. At first, I ignored it. Nobody calls at that hour unless something is wrong, but something in me resisted touching the phone. It rang again. Against my better judgment, I answered. A man's voice, soft, almost whispering, said, "Is this Lily?" My name isn't Lily. Doesn't even sound close to it. I told the caller he had the wrong number. There was a pause, but it wasn't a normal pause. It was as if he leaned closer to the phone. Then he said, "No, I'm sure it's you. I've been watching. I know your voice." My entire body froze. I hung up immediately. For the next few minutes, I sat there staring at my bedroom door, half expecting someone to knock, or worse, turn the handle. I eventually convinced myself it was some drunk guy or prank call. At least, that's what I told myself. But then the calls kept coming. Every night. Always between 1 and 2 a.m. Always from a different number. And every time, the voice got closer. More confident. Less like a stranger. More like someone who was learning me. One night, I made a mistake. I answered without thinking. The man said, "You left your bathroom light on tonight. It's wasting electricity." I didn't move for nearly an hour. The bathroom light was not visible from any window. There was no way he could know that. The next day, I stayed with my friend Taylor. I didn't go back to my apartment for 2 weeks. But the calls didn't stop. He somehow found my new location. "Lily, you sleep better here. But your friend snores." Taylor did snore. Loud. There was no way he could know that unless he was close. Walls. Vents. Inside the place. By the 4th week, I finally told the police. They checked everything. No devices, no signs of break-ins. They told me to block the numbers. I had already blocked over 90. One night, out of exhaustion, I broke down and answered again. This time, his whisper was shaking with excitement. "I finally see you. You're more beautiful than I imagined." I didn't sleep at all. 2 nights later, the call stopped completely. No warning. Nothing. But sometimes, very late at night, just as I'm trying to fall asleep, my phone lights up for a split second. A call attempts to come through. Blocked call. Cannot connect. And each time it happens, I hear that same soft whisper, not through the phone, but somewhere behind the walls. I used to work the late shift for a phone company, nothing fancy. Just the standard customer service job where tired, frustrated people call to vent about things you didn't cause. We handled calls until midnight. But one night, at 12:37 a.m., the phone system lit up with an incoming call. The thing is, our system locks at midnight. No one should be able to get through. I answered anyway, mostly out of confusion. "Customer support, this is Daniel." What I heard wasn't a person. It was heavy breathing. Not panicked breathing, but controlled. Like someone who was deliberately trying to stay calm. I repeated my greeting. The breathing stopped. Then I heard a faint voice, almost like a child's, but distorted. "He's in my room." I sat up straight. "Are you safe? Who is in your room?" The child whispered again. "He says you can hear him too." I felt a coldness crawl up my spine. Before I could respond, a second voice, deep, gravelly, came onto the line. It didn't speak words. It just laughed. Slow, dragging, wet. Our phone system flickered. All the monitors dimmed. The call timer froze at 0:13. Then the voice whispered, "Why did you answer?" Every instinct screamed to hang up, but my hand wouldn't move. It felt like I was being held there, like the line itself had a grip on me. The deep voice spoke again. "He wants to play with you next." The line cut. All lights in the office shut off. I sat in complete darkness for what felt like 10 minutes before emergency lights flickered on. The call never appeared in the system logs. My supervisor claimed the system was down for maintenance that night. But here's the part that still bothers me. Every night at 12:37 a.m., my personal phone buzzes once. Just once. A silent notification. No number. No message. Just a timestamp. 12:37 a.m. When I moved into that old duplex, I only knew one neighbor, a quiet older woman named Marla who lived next door. She kept to herself, but every few days she'd call me to ask if I needed anything from the store. She always called from her landline. Her voice always sounded slightly shaky, like she was nervous. One night around 3 a.m., my phone rang. It was Marla's number. I answered, half asleep. Before I could even speak, she whispered, "Don't move. Don't make a sound." I froze. Then she continued, "Someone is in your house." My heart nearly stopped. I whispered back, "How do you know?" There was a pause. Then she said, "Because I just heard him answer your phone." I slowly looked toward my bedroom doorway. My phone call wasn't on speaker. She shouldn't have heard anything. Unless she was close. Very close. The line suddenly went dead. I wanted to run outside, but I couldn't hear anything. No footsteps, no breathing, nothing. Just the faint hum of the refrigerator. I finally forced myself to leave the bedroom. I checked every room, every closet. Nobody. The next morning, I went to check on Marla. Her door was cracked open. Inside, the living room smelled like dust and old wood. There were boxes stacked everywhere. It looked abandoned. I knocked on her bedroom door. No answer. Later that day, I asked the landlord if Marla had gone somewhere. He looked confused, then said, "That unit has been empty for months. Marla passed away last winter." I showed him the call log on my phone. He shook his head and said, "That number was disconnected a long time ago." Every few weeks since then, usually after midnight, I still get a call from her number. When I answer, it's always silence. But it feels like someone is standing just a few feet behind me. When my dad died in a car accident, it broke me. We were close. Close enough that he called me every day, even for small things. After the crash, his phone was returned to us. It was shattered, bent, nearly folded in half. The screen was black. The battery was punctured. The police said it was impossible for the device to ever turn on again. 3 days after the funeral, at 2:19 a.m., my phone rang. Dad's contact photo lit up my screen. I stared at it for a full minute, unable to breathe. My cousin, who was staying over that night, saw it too. He whispered, "Don't answer that." But I did. At first, I heard nothing. Then I heard the faint, terrible sound of scraping metal, like something being dragged across asphalt. Then a voice, my dad's voice, broken and strained. "Stay home." The call cut. The next morning, I had to drive to work. Halfway there, I stopped at a red light. A speeding truck ran the intersection from the opposite direction at full force, right through my lane. If I hadn't heard the call, if I had left the house on time, I would have been right there. I never got another call from his number again. But his phone, ruined, dead, smashed, still sits in a drawer at my mom's house. And every year on the anniversary of the crash, at 2:19 a.m., the screen lights up for exactly 1 second. Just long enough to show one missed call. I work night shifts at a small-town hospital. Death is part of the job, but nothing prepared me for what started happening last winter. Every time a patient was about to die, minutes before, my work phone would ring. Unknown number. No caller ID. Just one long vibration. The first time it happened, I ignored it. The second time, I answered. A calm voice said one sentence. "Room 412 is next." I checked the chart. Room 412 belonged to an elderly woman recovering from surgery. She was stable. 5 minutes later, alarms went off. Her heart had stopped. She didn't make it. I tried to convince myself it was coincidence. Hospitals are unpredictable. But then it happened again, and again, and again. Each time, the voice predicted the exact room, the exact patient, the exact moment. I reported it to administration. They brushed it off as someone phoning in threats. But then one night, near the end of my shift, the phone rang again. Unknown number. No caller ID. I answered, already feeling sick. But this time, the voice didn't give a room number. This time, it simply said, "The next one is you." I froze. My chest tightened. Cold sweat ran down my back. I waited for something to happen. 5 minutes. 10. 15. Nothing. I went home shaking. And I'm still alive for now. But almost every night, around the same time, the phone rings again. I don't answer anymore. But the missed call notification always says the same thing. Unknown caller, 001. It means they waited 1 full second to see if I'd pick up.